turning point in Middle East politics is taking shape, one that could reshape alliances and attitudes in the entire region. The emergency Arab-Islamic summit, set to convene in Doha, Qatar on Monday, is rapidly becoming a rallying ground for solidarity after a dramatic Israeli airstrike targeting Hamas interests in Qatar. The world is watching closely, and not everyone agrees on what should happen next. Picture the scene: the flags of Afghanistan, Jordan, Azerbaijan, and Qatar whipping in the wind outside Doha's Sheraton Hotel, just as regional leaders and diplomats begin to arrive. The summit, urgently called in response to Israel's recent strike allegedly aimed at Hamas operatives in Doha, has galvanized both members of the Arab League and the Organization of Islamic Cooperation. Their urgent agenda: to express unified support for Qatar and push back against what is perceived as an escalation that threatens the entire region's stability. But here's where it gets controversial. The current draft resolution, seen by knowledgeable sources, strongly denounces Israel's actions, labeling the attack a dangerous intensification of the conflict and rejecting any Israeli efforts to shape a new reality in the Middle East. Yet surprisingly, this statement seems poised to stop short of concrete diplomatic or economic retaliation against Israel. With final decisions pending until the leaders actually meet, some argue the draft lacks real teeth, while others see it as a strategic show of unity without escalation. Which side do you find more compelling? This Israeli strike, which Hamas claims resulted in the deaths of 5 of its members but did not affect its senior leadership, has had ripple effects well beyond Qatar. It has prompted US-aligned Gulf nations to close ranks, exposing significant strains, especially between the United Arab Emirates, which normalized ties with Israel in 2020, and the Israeli government. Just recently, the UAE summoned Israel's deputy ambassador to protest both the military action and subsequent remarks by Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, calling them openly hostile. And this is the part most people miss. At the heart of the tension is Netanyahu's unwavering demand that Qatar expel Hamas leaders or bring them to justice. His stark warning is clear: if Qatar does not act, Israel will consider further unilateral steps. Yet Qatar, officially recognized as a critical mediator deeply involved in efforts to end the now 2-year-old Gaza war, accuses Israel of deliberately undermining the peace process. To further complicate matters, a member of Qatar's own security services was among those killed in the recent strike, raising national stakes even higher. Even US President Donald Trump, who has at times backed Israel strongly, has voiced dissatisfaction over the attack, arguing that such actions fail to serve Israeli or American interests. While he remains critical of Hamas, describing the group's elimination as a valid objective, Trump has assured Qatar's emir that attacks like this must not happen again on Qatari soil, suggesting a subtle shift in traditional alliances. The bigger picture remains just as fraught. Netanyahu maintains that expelling Hamas leaders from Qatar would remove the biggest obstacle to releasing the hostages still held in Gaza, and ultimately to ending a war that erupted following Hamas's October 7, 2023 attacks on Israel. The high human cost is impossible to ignore. Local Gaza authorities report over 64,000 people killed since Israel launched its response to the 2023 assault, in which 1,200 Israelis died and 251 were taken hostage. Of those, 48 remain in captivity today, with Qatar, alongside the US, persistently mediating for a potential ceasefire and the hostages' release. Amid all this turmoil, the Gulf states increasingly voice the message that Qatar's security is integral to the stability of the entire Gulf Cooperation Council, which includes heavyweight members like Saudi Arabia. So where does this leave us? The emergency Arab-Islamic summit illustrates both the limits and the potential of regional diplomacy in the face of escalating violence. Is a unified declaration enough to deter further conflict? Or do these nations need to back their words with firmer action? And how do you feel about foreign mediation efforts? Are they a force for peace? Or just a delay tactic in a much bigger power struggle? Let's spark a debate. Do you support Qatar's mediation role? Or do you believe Israel is justified in demanding expulsion of Hamas leaders from Doha? Could the summit lead to genuine progress? Or is it mostly symbolic? Share your perspective in the comments below. This is one conversation where every voice counts.